It's October, and this means it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're looking at one of South Africa's most loved beverages, and that's rooibos. Now, the drink is already recognized for its benefits to heart health and diabetes management and brain function, but is now showing even greater promises in preliminary breast cancer research led by Dr. Nikki Verhoek from the Stellenbosch University, and she's a senior lecturer in biochemistry, and she joins us now via our video link for more on this conversation. Dr. Nikki, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. You're a part of a very important research, and that pertains to breast cancer, but more importantly, also talking about rooibos extracts. Tell us more about your research.
Thank you, Bali, for having me. So what started off this research really was that, as we know, rooibos is very rich in polyphenols, and there were some polyphenols that were identified to be similar in structure to estrogen. Now, the majority of breast cancers are estrogen-driven. So this made us think, what effect would rooibos have? Would it have effect on that estrogen-driven breast cancer? And that's what we did. And we found that it actually inhibits the growth of estrogen-driven cell proliferation. It also stops the spread and metastasis of the cells. Of course, this is very much an in vitro study, so very much preliminary, very much almost like in a test tube, but it's very promising results. And what was another interesting result was the fact that tamoxifen, which is the treatment for estrogen-sensitive breast cancer, we found that the rooibos extracts didn't interfere with the ability of tamoxifen to inhibit estrogen signaling, which was wonderful and very promising.
And Dr. Nikki, I mean, this is quite revolutionary, and one would then also say, how will this help in the fight against breast cancer?
The problem at the moment with breast cancer is that early detection is important. It's the most important thing. In fact, early detection leads to 90% of success rates, survival rates. But when you're on a lot of these treatments, resistance does develop, and there's always the search for a newer drug, a newer treatment. This, of course, does not say that, but it does give us an indication, a suggestion in what direction to move in. It also tells us, yes, rooibos has these phenolic compounds that are similar in structure to estrogen, but it is not harmful. In fact, it sort of curbs the ability of estrogen to promote that multiplication of the breast cancer cells. So our next research would be a preclinical study, which is starting next year in January, and that will give us more further insight into how rooibos works. And we still need more detail into the mechanism before we really go into maybe a possible treatment. But it's definitely not a treatment at the moment. This is very much a preclinical study.
Yeah, and maybe, Dr. Nikki, let's make the differentiation here between rooibos extracts and rooibos tea, so that, you know, we don't get a lot of people saying that, well, I've been drinking so much rooibos tea, but you speaking about rooibos on a science level and rooibos extracts here. So maybe just make that differentiation for our viewers.
So our extract is much more concentrated, so it would be very difficult to get maybe that levels within a cup of tea. So that's firstly. And we use a lot of plant material. We used a lot of plant material to get that extract. But I can also say in the same breath that we also tested extract from a cup of tea and from the stovetop brewing of tea. And we did find similar results with that.
And maybe also take us through, the research. How long did, you conduct this research for, and who was involved in this research, particularly when it comes to the testing phase?
So we started in 2022, and it was part of 2 MSc projects as well as a PhD project, which we're now finalizing. So it was quite a big team. It was quite involved, and it was quite a long study in that sense, yes.
And any advice to, those women out there, particularly in our country, who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and, how this then ties into... Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry, you broke up there for a bit.
I was saying, any advice to women in South Africa who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and how this study can help towards that?
Well, what the study does, as I said, is very preliminary, but our findings with the tamoxifen, which is normally what is given to women with estrogen-sensitive breast cancer, there are various different types of breast cancer, it was found that the extracts did not interfere with that treatment, which is promising, especially for women that are on conventional treatment and still consuming, like taking in their favorite herbal drink.
All right, Dr. Nikki, thank you so much for your time. That's Dr. Nikki Verhoek. She's a senior lecturer in biochemistry at Stellenbosch University there, just giving us an insight in terms of their findings and the research that they have conducting. Also saying that, of course, next year they will then be running a preclinical study. That phase set to kick in much later next year.